Hey everybody, welcome back to the NC State Insider Podcast. I'm your host and lead beat writer Tucker Sennett, joining you here today to discuss NC State football's pretty much just far and away the worst loss of the year in the Wolfpack's road trip to South Florida to face the 15th ranked Miami Hurricanes. That's the college football playoff ranking, just to clarify if you're using the AP poll. Um, This was horrific, absolutely horrific. This NC State team was outplayed from the first snap of the game. Um, there was a lot made throughout the past couple weeks coming off that win over Georgia Tech. Did this team find some things? CJ Bailey looked to be back in form, and this was a really important game for him, as I said in my pregame analysis, and um, I'm not trying to dog on him, but he fell flat on his face in this one, and this team really fell flat. This was a debacle, a complete debacle. NC State was outplayed in every phase. They were dominated in the trenches. They were dominated on time of possession. They were dominated yardage wise. Um, it was just it was horrible, absolutely horrible for this NC State team. And Miami now, gets a massive style points win to get back into the college football playoff race. But let's dive in a little deeper. Now that I've gotten my overall assessment, which is that this was about as far as NC State could have regressed after that Georgia Tech win. So we'll dive in, but the game started. Bailey immediately completed a pass, 16 yards to Keenan Jackson, and it was like, all right, Bailey's gonna fit some balls in some tight windows. They're gonna work the quick game a little bit here, work the ball down the field, and do what it did against Georgia Tech. Uh, Three and out, or well, not three and out, but immediate punt. Then Miami goes down the field, not easily, but there wasn't a ton of resistance. But NC State did what it did really well against Georgia Tech, and it rose up inside the 20 and forced a field goal. So the recipe's there. They're forcing this offense to field goals. Can Bailey go out and score touchdowns? Well, he didn't do that. He instead threw two interceptions in the first quarter, including one for a pick six. And you could tell he was just rattled after. I mean, the first one he recovered nicely and completed a couple passes on the next drive, and then threw one of the most ill-advised passes I think I've seen him throw all season, right over the middle. There were multiple defenders there that could have intercepted the ball. Um, and it was actually the same guy, Jacoby. I don't want to get his name wrong. Jacoby Thomas that came away with it, the safety who was kind of filling in. He's a starter, but was in a different role than usual today with Keontae Scott out of the game. And Bailey just got happy feet after that. He never looked comfortable in the pocket. The Wolfpack got dominated in the trenches. Um, just really, 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 really bad offense all around. They couldn't run the ball. They finished the game with just 29 rushing yards. Bailey only passed for 120 yards. NC State didn't cross the 50 until the last 5 minutes of the game. Um, the defense it came into the game. Part of what made this team able to win that game against Georgia Tech was keeping this defense off the field. And because this defense is capable of making stops and bending rather than breaking, and when the, when the defense is on the field for 36 minutes, this is not a good defense. This is a defense that's really struggled on third down, uh, which Miami didn't even really play that well in. They were only 50% on third down, partially because they got 28 first downs to NC State's nine. That's just unacceptable if you're going to try to upset a team like this. And Carson Beck was on point, which is something that I said needed to be the opposite if NC State wanted to win this game. He never was under real duress. Um, NC State came up with one sack, and it just it just was not not a defensive performance that was a recipe for success. They actually did force a fumble early in the game, and it looked like they might, have that turnover that they really needed, and then bang, Bailey interception. So I just there's really not much you can say about NC State after the game. Dave Doran said that the only highlight of the game was the performance of the punter, Caden Noonkester, which is true. I mean, he punted 8 times, so there was really nobody that had a bigger impact on the game for the Wolfpack than him. Um, as for Miami, this is a team that is certainly back in the mix. The ACC is a complete dumpster fire. Um, they have the talent to be a playoff team. It's just, can Mario Cristobal put it together at the right time? And maybe it was good that they lost those games earlier. Maybe it's a benefit for them to not play in the ACC title game and risk picking up that third loss. I don't really know, but that's something that's not super important to NC State, which is now 5-5, staring at back-to-back games at home. They got a Friday night game against Florida State. That's going to be a really quick turnaround. Coming off, I'm pretty confident saying this is the worst loss of the season. I think Notre Dame, there were some external factors with injuries and just the way that game flowed. It felt like NC State was in the fight a little bit more than it was in this game. This game was over early in the second quarter. You could just tell there was no hope. There was a play late second quarter. Bailey scrambled close to the first down, and you're already down. I want to say 17-0. Um, it might have been more. I think it was no. It would have been, yeah. It was 17-0. Sorry. Bailey scrambled. I thought it might have been a first down. They called him short. You're already down 17-0. You're already down three scores effectively. Um, your defense hadn't gotten a stop in a little bit, and you're deep in your own territory, sure, but the game is lost at this point. And if you kick it away and give up a touchdown anyway, which they did, they punted, and I just don't understand it. I don't know what you're playing defense for. There's no conceivable reason to do that. What are you defending against? You want to hold them to a field goal and have it be a 2 touchdown or 3 touchdown game anyway? Sure, that's fine. Um, Puzzling, really, really puzzling. Not sure. Obviously that falls on the coaching. I mean, that's not a player's decision, but and I get it. It's kind of psycho to punt or to go for it on your own 29 or wherever they were, but deep in your own territory. I understand that, but what do you have to lose at that point? They're going to score anyway. Then they did. They scored anyway. I just it's baffling. It's really, really baffling in a game where you're a 2 touchdown underdog and you finish with 149 yards of offense. And if you get that first down, maybe you get a little spark. Maybe you go down the field and kick a field goal, and instead of 24-0 at the half, it's 17-3. And then it's a 2 touchdown game. Really, really, really unbelievable. There's really no bright spot that I can talk about. Miami has some incredible athletes. Malachi Tony is probably one of the 4 or 5, maybe one of the three best football players that NC State has shared a field with this season. I mean, that kid is just phenomenal. He threw a 44-yard pass today, caught 2 touchdowns. Um, Beck is just a really, really solid quarterback, really solid college quarterback. Got the job done. They did this without two of their key players. They didn't have their starting running back or their best defensive back. It's just, eh, it's almost, there's a level of concern that I have for NC State that when Justin Jolie and Hollywood Smothers are on the field, it feels like they play with less freedom. And I don't know how to articulate that well, but it felt like in that Georgia Tech game, Bailey was playing loose. You know, he took some shots. He got the ball out quick. He spread the ball very well. This game, I mean, that pick six was forced to Joe Lee, and Joe Lee's body language on the sideline wasn't great after that. Um, Smothers, didn't get anything going. He finished with -2 yards in this one. So, they clearly were game planning for him, and this offensive line was just awful, absolutely awful. Um, yeah, not much to say. Really, not much to say. Florida State's coming in next week, Friday night, as I said, and that's now you're staring down the barrel of some really, really risky waters of potentially missing a bowl game. Um, I don't know. I don't know what kind of Florida State team you're going to get next week. They haven't kicked off when I'm recording this yet. They're playing Virginia Tech tonight, but um, yeah, no, it's this was a there's no other way to put this game other than it was a debacle, a complete debacle. Um, I'll have some more content coming out. You can find out what Dave Doran had to say after the game, find out what CJ Bailey had to say after the game. That'll all be out on Sunday. And you can, of course, check out all of our content. You can find more on my X account at Senate Tucker, on the website's X account at Wolfpack on SI, and find daily episodes of the NC State Insider podcasts on the sports videos on SI YouTube channel. Um, Big women's basketball game tomorrow, another ranked matchup for the Wolfpack. We'll have coverage of that game for you, and we'll get that going tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next time.